Hello, I'm Jan Lewinsky and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. It's time to stop dividing politicians and public figures in general into left and right. Let's be real here. There are only two types of people: those who can distinguish right from wrong, and the idiots who worship imperialist ideas, whether out of ignorance or political opportunism. Now, let's take a look at two fine examples of the latter. First up is Kalin Georgescu, a Romanian Putin fanboy who believes Ukraine is, and I quote, a made-up country and should be divided among its neighbors. In his twisted vision, Lviv will go to Poland, Zakarpattia to Hungary, and the rest of Ukraine straight into Moscow's pocket. Because, of course, nothing just screams 21st century diplomacy like carving up sovereign nations as if it is 1939 all over again. Georgescu's big brain logic? Borders change, and we should be ready. But the only thing that's actually changing is Russia's military equipment into scrap metal on the battlefield.
Se schimbă lumea, se vor schimba frontiere. Mai mult de atât, dacă se schimbă frontiere, unde suntem noi? Deci avem Bucovina de Nord, interes, avem Bugeacu, avem Maramureșul de Nord, corect, din fosta, cum se chema, Transcarpatia, cea mai rămâne și pe la unguri, Lvovul, care o să rămână la polonezi, și Malorusia, care sigur.
Dumneavoastră pariați pe o împărțire?
100%.
Sigur?
100% va fi asta. Păi n-au altfel cum. Nu există. Drumul este inevitabil către așa ceva.
Războiul din istoria Ucrainei eu pot întotdeauna
Ucraina este un stat inventat. Nu, care ruși? Republica Sovietică Socialistă Ucraina. Despre asta vorbim. Care este un stat inventat. Nu există puncte.
So yeah, there were plenty of people who said the Romanian presidential elections were fine, they should not have been cancelled. Now, you can see why they were cancelled, because there was a literal Kremlin proxy running in these elections and probably cheating as well. So yeah, there you have it. Okay, so we've mentioned one guy, and then there is the other one, Tucker Carlson. A man who parades as a conservative journalist, but is in reality just Putin's American mouthpiece. Forget ideology. Carlson's primary political stance is bootlicking authoritarian strongman. Why should Putin be my enemy? He's never done anything to me. He whines over and over again as if geopolitics were a high school friendship drama. By the way, I hope you appreciate my Tucker Carlson impersonation. There will be more, I assure you.
How dare he talk to Putin, our enemy? No one asked me whether Putin's our enemy. Why is Putin my enemy? He's never done anything to me. He's never called me a racist. Oh, you're a Putin puppet. No, I'm not. I'm an American. But there's no reason, I have no reason to be mad at Vladimir Putin or anybody else until they attack me or my country. We never had a vote on whether, we, as a matter of policy, hate Putin. It was a bunch of lunatics, some of whom I know personally, Tory and Newland, and these full-blown wackos, these enemies of democracy, decided one day we need to take out Putin because I'm mad at him for some reason no one ever explained. I'm just not going along with that. In Ukraine, which is a kind of wellspring of lunacy, sorry, I know you support it, but it's done more to destabilize the West than anything that's happened in my lifetime. And the amount of evil that has emanated from that country, the amount of assassinations that have come from Ukraine, I happen to know, is very high.
So yeah, I guess I am an enemy of democracy right now, according to Mr. Carlson. By the way, he's talking about assassinations. He's not complaining that President Zelensky apparently avoided assassination attempts from Russia on several occasions, but I mean, logic is not his strong point. This is the exact kind of weak-minded nonsense that emboldens aggressors, by the way. Back in the 20th century, people said the same thing about Hitler. Remember the guy? Failed landscape painter? Yeah. Isolationism and apathy led straight to Pearl Harbor later on. And today, the same playbook is being dusted off with Putin's useful idiots, whether in Europe or in the US, doing their best to undermine Ukraine and hand the world over to authoritarian thugs. And let's not forget, Georgescu nearly won the first round of elections in Romania. His pro-Russian nonsense isn't just some fringe lunacy anymore, it is creeping into the mainstream. Because while Ukraine fights for its survival, the Kremlin's lackeys in the West are busy justifying its destruction. every single day. So, whether it's a Romanian Kremlin bootlicker or an American talk show clown, Putin will always find his puppets. The only question is, how many people will fall for their garbage? The Kremlin's hybrid warfare. A beautiful blend of Cold War nostalgia, cheap sabotage, and Third World level tunnel digging. Yeah, you heard that right. Lithuanian border patrols have just stumbled upon a 25-meter underground tunnel near the Belarusian border. And while nobody knows for sure whether it was meant for Russian-backed saboteurs or smuggled migrants, let's be honest, it was probably both. After all, the Putin-Lukashenko axis has been mastering the fine art of weaponized migration for years now. Why just send spies and provocateurs when you can also flood Europe with desperate people and then blame the West for not being humanitarian enough? Classic Kremlin logic: cause the crisis and then exploit it. And let's talk about the brilliance of this engineering masterpiece for a bit, because when you think elite Russian sabotage operation, you definitely imagine a badly dug hole in the ground rather than, say, sophisticated cyber attacks or actual strategy. Move over, Great Escape, Moscow's mole men are already here. So what's next, you may ask? Tunnels under Poland, Belarusian submarines, or at least submersibles, in the Vistula River? Or maybe Putin will just declare that the tunnel was always part of historical Russian territory and blame NATO for filling it with dirt. One thing's for sure, though. The Kremlin's hybrid war playbook is running out of fresh ideas, and it's getting more embarrassing by the day. Oh no! Panic in the Kremlin's propaganda circus. Who knew? Trump is no longer their comrade. Russian state TV, once bubbling with joy over his re-election bid, is now whimpering in fear, spinning horror stories about the very same man, the current US president, that they praised just days ago. How utterly tragic. Just yesterday, these same Kremlin loudspeakers were dreaming of a golden age where Trump would graciously dismantle NATO, hand over Ukraine on a silver platter, and maybe even throw in Alaska for a good measure. But now, well, now they are shaking in their boots, realizing that their favorite Western chaos agent might not be their savior after all. It's almost adorable, in fact, watching these once arrogant propagandists switch from hero worship to full-blown paranoia and vilification. First, Trump was a misunderstood genius. Now he's the boogeyman of the Kremlin. What's next? Will they start accusing him of being a CIA deep cover agent or something like that? And the best part? This tail between the legs backpedaling is just another sign that Russia's hybrid war isn't really going as planned. Not at all. Their old tricks, meddling in elections, grooming useful idiots, and bribing Western politicians are starting to fail. And now, instead of celebrating Trump, they are preparing for a new round of hysterical doomsaying on Solovyov's talk show.
Так ждали Трампа, я прям помню. Некоторые шампанское открывали. Ага, помогло?
Не помогло.
Не надо искать друзей там, где их нет и быть не может по определению. Трамп такой же системный враг, как любой представитель демократов.
Ну, Владимир, я не соглашусь.
Не системный враг?
Трамп не системный враг. Трамп действует в интересах США, так как он их понимает.
Это и есть характеристика системного врага.
Poor Kremlin propagandists. Who will be their next Western hero? Orban is quite busy, but, he's a safe bet. Fico's quite reliable every now and then, but then he also has his downsides. There are also protests against him, so he might be ousted at some point. Nobody knows. Tucker Carlson, running for US president? Well, that sounds like an idea they could exploit, but they have to wait for ages before this is even feasible. Well, there is always alternative for Germany and their idea to rebuild the Nord Stream. If they do, and if Europe doesn't buy the gas after all, well, they could still use the old trick from one of the old James Bond films, load in capsules, inside of them there will be Russian agents and they will be teleported straight into Europe using the gas pipeline, because it has to be good for something, right? And with this, we conclude this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.